Slacktail Squad, assemble.
Hey there, Slaptail Nation. It is I, the Beef Man, Master of the Universe, and creator of all things great and small. And if you are listening to this, you are a member of the great Slaptail Nation, and you're tuning in. Oh, you really aren't tuning in. That's like an old saying. You're joining us for this podcast, the Slaptail Squad. And with me today is my number 2, live from the tent, the Rons.
Hey, P-Man. Yeah, I remember that. Tune in tomorrow or tune in next week. Same bat channel, That was...
I think that must have came from the old radio days, don't you think? Because they even said that on TV, but did you really have to tune in?
Can I talk yet?
Oh, right off the bat.
And also with us, for good or for bad, is the Swan. Say
For
hello,
better or
Swan.
worse. Hello, Swan. Oh, Ron's is blurry in the tent. I was going to compliment him on the fact that there's actually light on his face today. So
There's
the
always
green
light on
screen
my face.
No. Usually looks like you're in a dark tent, but today you actually have the light probably maybe in the proper place. That if you put the background to your green screen, it might work. So
We get a little closer to the mic there, Swan.
Oh, maybe. You usually tell me I'm yelling. So
well, you are yelling, but we still do want to be able to hear your voice. I mean,
can you hear me now?
Selectively.
Can you hear me now?
We selectively want to be able to hear your voice.
Exactly.
Anyway, Rons, do you think that's a holdover from the radio days? Because did we really have to quote unquote tune in with the TV? I mean, I guess you did because TV waves.
Yeah, the old rabbit ears. Yeah, you had to focus it in.
So now
the TV used to have a knob that you had to dial and get to it, and so did the radio.
I believe tuning in has to do with the actual waveform themselves, where we don't have to worry about that now.
Right.
The Swan has a lot on her mind today. What's up?
Not much. I don't know. I just didn't want to be. I wanted to interrupt freely. I wanted the permission to interrupt freely.
Is it really?
You know how a lot of shows, how a lot of like morning shows have the two guys, and they always have that annoying girl. You know how that is? Like she's falling into that stereotype, even though we've asked her not to. I think that there was this unwritten rule that you don't fall into that typical girl part of the show that's fucking annoying.
Why are you trying to be sexist?
No, if you listen to any of those, if you listen to them,
no, there is, and they always have an annoying voice too.
No, there was a radio station in GR who had this great dynamic. It was an antagonist, a protagonist, and a peacekeeper, and it worked out so well that they got a lot of tuned in listeners. And when they broke it up, it's like I think their listenership, if you want to call it, kind of dropped. And I remember reading an article sometime that
you're talking like 12 years. I think you're talking like 12 years ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. They ended up splitting up, but I think the lady remained.
Yeah,
it was like Scotty Budd.
Yep.
I can't remember all three of them. Steph?
Wasn't No. You're thinking local. I was thinking more GR, like Rick and Darla.
GR is local. GR is local to us. Grand Rapids is local to us.
Fair enough. So
anyway, but no, they always do that. There's the funny guy, there's the straight guy, and then there's the obnoxious girl. Mark Maron does a bit on that on morning radio. It's totally true. But we've asked you not to fall. I thought that it was kind of an understanding that we don't want you to fall into that stupid role, Swans, or are you just trying to fill that stupid role?
Maybe. Unconsciously, subconsciously, whatever you want to say.
Consciously?
No.
Yeah, don't.
No. Yeah. Okay, I won't.
Alrighty.
Anyway,
Rons, have you downloaded the Wisdom app to your phone?
Unfortunately, I have not. Please, you know what?
He's been too busy.
I will make it a point to download it this weekend. I really will.
I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to. It's just.
Well, you're not the only person I know doing it, and another coworker of mine has a wisdom app, and it's on mental health, and I thought I would give it a listen to. So many people that I've asked to listen to our podcast have, and I thought I'd return the favor by listening to their stuff.
Well, so okay, I'm a little confused. So you're saying that they do talks on the Wisdom app? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right, because the talks are live. I mean, you can download them and you can share them. I shared a talk today. Of course, by the time you listen to this, everybody, Slaptail Nation is going to be Sunday because I release our podcast every Sunday. It's Friday
Fine
evening
job
right
of
now.
that, by the
Thank you.
way.
I try. It's all that editing that kind of sucks, but I have to do it for obvious reasons. Anyway, no, I did a wisdom talk today. It was nice. It was a good little chat. So I thought I would continue that conversation today for those folks who were not taking part, of course, not listening to you on the Wisdom app. And the only reason I want you to go on the Wisdom app, Ron, is maybe when I'm on, I'll let you know. And then you could actually join me on the talk because it's live.
I would love to do that.
Yes,
Right.
that'd be great.
And you know what?
That'd be fantastic.
And if it's serious, I'll keep it serious. If it's light, I'll have the Swan call in.
I think that a lot of the talks on the Wisdom app are pretty serious. Mine are not. The ones that I've listened to, there's some that I don't. You can actually preview them when you first pull up the app. You can kind of preview what people are talking about. You flip through them. You slide. Swish right,
Yeah.
swipe right, whatever. And a lot of them they're just so serious. I'm not doing that. I'm there not to be Mr. Seriousness. I'm there to try to help people who are interested in podcasting or ask questions about podcasting, or I try to give a little preview about our podcast. Of course, I plug our podcast. And if anybody joins me for a conversation on there, obviously I plug their stuff also because that's helpful.
So I have a question then because people are more getting into podcasting and apps that talk like the Wisdom. Is comedy essential to a balanced mental health?
Absolutely. Of course it is. I told you I like to find the funny in everything. And that has helped me tremendously in my own personal life. I'm sure the Swan would disagree because she hates me, but that's okay. But comedy for me has made my life so much better. I try to find the funny in everything. I think that's why the podcast has helped out so much. I think that when you originally joined me on the podcast, I told you that, podcasting is like my own personal therapy. I use it to make my life better. And in this respect, I use it to make my life better, but I also use it to find more comedic things, find more funny things. And so I think that comedy in general is good for your mental health. It's also good for your physical health. If I was laughing all day long, I'd have a six pack. What is there?
Swan has it.
Yeah, is there a better ab workout than laughing?
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, B-Man. But
if you understand what I'm saying, why are you're about to ask me a question? If you understand,
no, I'm going to ask the Swan about the baby Swan. It's like, is she always laughing then?
I mean, she has laugh all the. That's what kids do. Yeah. And she's ripped. I mean,
she's also very athletic.
Yeah, but I don't think she does crunches as part of her athleticism. I mean, I know that obviously playing a sport, you use your core and running and all that stuff, but I feel like more of it is probably from laughing.
Yeah, she laughs all day. You can hear her laughing. She watches her little video shorts and TikTok and stuff. I always hear her laughing.
She laughs at herself, whatever.
I do that. I laugh at myself.
Yeah, you do.
I'll write something. I'll write a little bit of my comedy, and then I'll rehearse it, and then I'll actually laugh at it. I'm like, that's pretty funny. But am I the only one who's going to find it funny? Probably. It doesn't matter. I'm still going to try it.
I guess doesn't matter. No.
No, I guess it doesn't matter because I'm doing it for myself anyway. Why do you ask that question, Ron? I don't want you to feel like you're going to step on. I feel like you might end up actually accidentally running across what I wanted to talk to you about, but that's okay.
No,
that's okay. It's always going to be okay. So what are you?
Well, thank you. So back to what you said about a couple of podcasts earlier. It's like, do you talk to yourself out loud in different voices? And I said, I don't do that. And then I caught myself doing it at work a couple of times. And I'm like, and it actually brings us back to the mental health issue. Is that healthy? Right.
Sure.
So whenever you're walking out, like, I'll see something and I'll go through the character voice in my head and I'll try to, and it'll come to life. It'll start to come out and I'll start talking to myself out loud. Like, oh, I got to move boxes. Why do I have to move so many boxes? Boxes. Oh, that's a bigger box. And then I start going off on this tangent. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing what the B-Man said. I'm using the word boxes in so many different inflections, like boxes, 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 right? And then I go into the Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd. Hey, sexy boxes. And that's predating how old I am, actually, when you go back to them.
Well, there's nothing wrong with going back to Steve Martin and Dan Aykroyd. I mean,
Damn
hey,
straight.
it's freaking awesome. Have you watched that show at all with Steve Martin and Martin Short? And I think
I do want to check that out. I know what you're talking about.
What's the young lady's name? Oh my gosh, what is her name?
I didn't know they had a woman on it.
They do. They've got one of the girls who was a child star several years ago. Selena Gomez. Yeah, it's those three.
Wow,
And
I
it's
know
about-
it was Steve Martin and Martin
It's
Short.
some murder show about. It's supposed to be some kind. It's supposed to be pretty good. I'm gonna have to check it out because I love.
Oh,
Steve Martin.
no, they were doing a live show. Martin Short and Steve Martin going around. doing
Oh
a
yeah,
live
but
show.
this is an actual television show. I think it's on. I don't know if it's on Netflix or if it's on Amazon. But I'm gonna have to check it out. Anyway, no, I'm glad that you do that. I think that you probably always did that. It probably has nothing to do with my influence. I think a lot of people do that.
What about you, Swan? Do you do it?
No,
I
because
don't
she's
think
not
so.
funny.
No, I'm not funny. That's yeah. I don't
think-
appreciate comedy the way that y'all do.
Well, no, you appreciate comedy, but in your own way.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe.
So what?
No,
what
but
makes you laugh?
I mean, toilet humor.
like what?
If we're gonna I don't know. Like old school Adam Sandler.
Okay,
You
but
know,
what did
just
Adam Sandler do a
ignorant
lot?
fun.
Adam Sandler would grab something
makes-
and then he would do a voice.
Yes, he does voices. Yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I do that. I don't do it like that. Well, I guess I do. Like some certain songs or whatever makes me think of that and makes faces that, make faces and make dumb song, like how you sing it in the Adam Sandler voice,
So how would you? I would like to hear a sample of your singing.
I can't. I don't have one right now. It has to just come out when it comes out.
And
I mean,
said that a
or
couple weeks
I
ago.
obnoxiously do it when Baby Swan is putting music on. I'll sing the song, but use obnoxious tone of voice so that it bothers her and she gets all mad. She's like, "Shut up!" So, yeah.
So how often do you do it then?
Probably, especially if I want her not to play that song, often. So she'll change it intentionally because she doesn't want to hear me singing it, or she'll turn it up louder.
So
to try
what
to
is the song that
drown it
annoys you
out.
the most that we should sing to?
I don't know. I don't have a specific one. No.
Oh, okay.
Some of them I don't know the words to, but I just make them up.
And isn't that the best way? Right?
Yeah,
I think we
I
discussed that
guess,
with the
yeah.
B-Man on the great old jet airliner or the great
Yeah.
big eyeliner in the sky.
Isn't it big old jet
Jet airliner.
airliner?
Yeah.
Big old jet airliner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So,
is.
anyway,
Awesome.
but it doesn't sound like that. There's tons of songs that you don't know the words for that you just insert whatever or make it up.
What I like to do is I like to listen to Lithium on XM because that's like my station, Lithium and Alt Nation, and I'll be driving down the road with the Baby Swan, and of course she's driving now, so usually she's driving. So I will, if there's certain songs that come on that I have a very fun time singing. There's one song that will come on by the Counting Crows called "Round Here," and I won't sing anything until they hit the part where they say "round here," and then I'm like, "Round here, you always stand up straight," and she's like, "Okay, all right, enough." And every
That's
time,
enough. Yeah.
You
every
sound
time
just
Round
like
Here
that
comes
lyric too.
round here. Yeah, every time.
Sounds like a cat getting run through a
And it's
grate.
like I think that now she knows that I'm going to do those sort of things, and she's just bracing herself every time any certain song. So she's just waiting for me to do anything like that with any type of song.
Yeah, but the funny part is she knows that I do it too. She'll do it at the same time that I do it on those songs that we.
So
that
you
she
guys
plays when I'm
basically,
listening to her.
with the B-Man, it's like
Yeah.
shut up, but with you, it's car karaoke.
Yeah. So yeah.
So with that, do you catch yourself dancing out in public or doing weird things
I
to the
don't,
music?
but the Beef Man does. He used
Same
to do it
here.
all the time. And just,
Yeah, but I don't.
I mean,
go out
we
in
don't
public
go in.
anymore.
We don't go in public anymore. But pre-COVID, he would do it in the middle of the grocery aisle or Kohl's or Target. and,
Baby Swan
people
does it
are
too.
looking, and
Baby
she
Swan
does
does it
do
too.
it too. She'll just stop and twerk or whatever. Does little fancy little
So
hand
when I'm at
gestures.
work and a certain tune comes on, I've got cameras all around me for security reasons. I'll start dancing, right? And just to do that, and then it's like if it's got like a good thumping beat to it, I'll just like stomp my foot, and I'm on this metal grate, and it makes a horrendous sound. And I just enjoy it, and I'm waiting for people to come up and go, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I'm just
Getting my
dancing.
dance on.
Got
You
my
know, that's
dance
something
going on."
that's really something that should never be squashed in the workplace anyway, because that means you're actually enjoying your work. They
Well, I
should
didn't say I was
want you to do
enjoying my work, but I'm
no,
just
but
enjoying
no,
myself.
but you are enjoying yourself and you're at
Yeah.
work, so that actually probably makes you more productive in that respect. So those are things that I feel like some things should not be squashed at work. You know, if anybody was trying to do that, I think that would be a bad idea. Anyway, back to the Wisdom app. Once again, every time I go on the Wisdom app, I'm like, oh, I haven't been on for a while. I promise I'm going to do more talks. I haven't done one for a while. I really do need to do it like once a week. But the point is, if I go on and I do it, I should actually let you know. That way, if you ever wanted to join me, I can you can come in on the conversation for a little bit and talk, and then whatever. I tried to do that with a Swan, and she just didn't connect. She just listened to the talk.
I panicked a little. Yeah, I panicked a little
You
because
don't
it
have
was
to
That
yell.
kind of
live.
You
reminds
really don't have
me
to yell.
of when we had Little Powder Donut on about the Crusade fighting, and I'm like, okay, you laid down the rules. You're like, you can talk about anything, you can interrupt and everything, and so Little Powder Donut,
But that was her topic.
Yeah,
You
mean,
don't
it
have to
was.
yell,
wasn't
Swan.
my
You really don't
topic.
have to yell, Swan.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
really
you're
don't
right.
have to
Okay.
yell.
But I
Well, I
remember,
don't
it's
have
like,
to yell,
okay,
but I
little.
want-
I remember what you said. You said, Little Powder Donut, you got anything to add? No. And I mean,
No
that was
questions,
it. I'm
eh? Like, no questions, eh? All right then. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Tune in tomorrow.
but that's not her fault, because by now, even though I know you say that, oh, she has a broadcasting background, that was 20 some years ago.
I agree.
So you can't blame her for that. However, Swan has been broadcasting for quite a while now, just not that much less time than you have been. So what was her excuse for not joining that conversation, even though I left it open for her several times to do it, and she was instructed to join into the conversation?
No, different platform. I got nervous.
It's not a
In what
different play.
way?
It's just as easy.
I think I would do it now. I'd be okay with it now. I could do it. I just had to hear. I had never heard any. That was the first Wisdom app experience, so I was a little bit,
Well,
intimidated by
yeah,
it. But I got it now.
I don't want to buy that excuse because I'm broke. I go back to the first time I did a podcast with the B
That
Man.
was not even
and
funny. That was like the worst dad joke ever.
Thank
but-
you.
No,
Thank
there's
you.
worse
tried.
ones.
You tried.
There's worse
There are
ones.
worse ones, but that was good. But I go back to the first podcast I did with the B Man, and it's like, you know what? It's just natural dialogue. There's a natural flow. I mean, look at the topic, just chatting. I mean, there's a natural flow to it. If you overthink it, it's not going to go well. So don't overthink it. Just talk.
No, and I've told you this before incrementally. I think that you're the way I'm hitting the swing arm. I think that you are getting better at podcasting. You're not repeating yourself as much. You don't say right all the time. You say it so infrequently now that I don't even, there's no point in me making fun of you anymore because you're not saying it all the time. For myself,
I'm pretty sure I'll screw something up eventually. I'm trying to keep a distance away from my mic. I've got my my drink over here with the cap slightly twisted off so it doesn't make any noise. I am walking on eggshells for sound. I'm making sure it's like
so you just didn't want to hear. You just didn't want me to finish the compliment. Is that what it was? You just
no. I appreciate the
you
compliment.
felt like you had to interrupt for me not to continue the compliment. Is that what it was?
No, I'm just trying to adhere to the B-Man way of life.
No, you can have.
He just wants to get yelled at.
What's
He
that?
just wants to get yelled at.
No one likes to get yelled at.
You do. You like it.
No, I do not.
I think my goal for podcasting in general is to be very articulate, but be funny and entertaining at the same time without using a bunch of filler words. So what I like about, and this is not a paid plug, Wisdom's not paying me to do this for them. What I like about the Wisdom app is I'm doing the same thing, and that's live. So I can't edit it. I'm just trying to be as articulate as possible, but being entertaining at the same time so that I can get that information out there. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job. What I've noticed, back to, again, giving you a compliment, is that you're getting better at doing that same thing. Now, if I can just get Tremonde to do that, Tremonde is very good at being articulate, but he takes too long to think about what he's going to say. And that's fine. in this format because, well, it's not fine because who has to edit it? I do. So I go out and I take out that space, but it's fine. So eventually I think that he'll get better at it. And what is going to probably help that for him is not only doing more podcasts, but also when we start to do, I think that probably what we'll do, if at all possible, is do a live stream every 10 episodes and maybe even more frequently than that. Who knows?
I notice when Tremonde pauses or he's not involved in the conversation, or he's in deep thought, he's like the peacemaker. He really is. He takes in everything and laughs. He's got a tremendous sense of humor. So when I say something or the Swan or you say something, he just like takes it all in and then he dissects it. And then you notice he'll start laughing and he'll have to take off his headsets, take a step away from the mic.
Which I wish he wouldn't do. I wish he would laugh into the mic because
I know,
it's
his
much
laugh
more
is
entertaining.
hilarious. His laugh is like contagious and so happy sounding. But don't you think that he does that because he's an active listener or a really good listener? He's like taking it all in and
Oh, I
thinking
agree.
about what
I
he's going to
just said
say
that.
before he says it, which works perfectly in his like field as a teacher or as a counselor or as somebody where that dramatic pause is okay, but
Oh,
it's
I
not
agree. It
okay
works well
on
for
It
him.
just
radio.
doesn't
So
necessarily
he just
It just doesn't necessarily
yeah.
work when you're doing broadcasting. And like I say, basically that's what we're doing. Podcasters are broadcasters. We're podcasters. That's what we do. We're podcasters. So we try to fill every second that we can possibly fill so that it doesn't have to be taken care of on the editing floor, if you will.
So
And of course, that's for me because I don't have a professional editing team. I'm the one who's editing. It's just about doing it more. Now, if you notice, when the four of us are together, everybody falls into their roles. If it's just three of us, everybody falls into the roles. If it's just the two of us, everybody falls into the roles. And typically, if it's Ron's and I, obviously the conversation is going to flow a lot differently than when we have the rest of you. So Tremonde is filling his role perfectly.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to talk all the time. He has his own segment now that we do where he can talk a lot more. And the benefit of doing that is it gives him more of an opportunity to actually do his part in the podcast and to train himself to podcast.
So if it was a Ron's and Tremonde podcast or a Ron's and the Beefman or a Tremonde and the Beefman, he would be forced to do it. Is that what you're saying? Like to fill the space if it was versus being in with all of us, he doesn't have to fill
in a
as much
sense, you're
space.
correct. In a sense, you're correct because you got to keep that dialogue going. You really do.
Yeah. If it's a subject where obviously if you are falling into the role of the audience, so you're like, if we decide I'm going to do this topic, I'm not going to tell you anything about the topic. I might tell you what the topic is about, but I don't want you to, do minimal research, but I'm going to basically fill you in on this whole topic. It's as if they're the listening audience and they're responding the way we would expect the audience to respond. So if you did that, if you were in a situation like that, then obviously the person who's the host is going to do the majority of the talking, and the person who's acting as the audience is going to have a typical response to the information that they're receiving, and then there's going to be a dialogue there. So they might not have to speak as much. If you reversed it and said, hey, this is poor Tremonde, he's not even here, so it's not like he has to defend himself because we're not bashing on it. But if I said, hey, Tremonde, let's try it where I'm going to shut up and you're going to be the main person talking during the podcast, what would happen then?
I guess we have to find what he wants to passionately talk about and see.
I'm not talking about
Because if
church.
it's something like
I'm not talking about church
professional
choir
clapping
or choir. I'm not talking about choir.
well, I guess we need to
no, we don't have
delve
to do that.
into his.
No, we don't have to do that.
But it might be a fun thing to do just to see how it goes. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of things that he is passionate about, so I feel like he could give us a good Tremonde speech.
But but why change the rule, Swan?
I mean, I guess we don't have to. I like his role, and he has his own little corner, so we'll keep him.
We'll
his
keep him
own
in the
little
corner
spot.
then.
Keep him in the corner. He's got his own little Pride Side chat. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that. You should coin that Pride Side chat.
That's what it's called. It's Tremonde's Pride Fireside Chat. That's what it's called.
Well, no, you said fireside. I said side. Pride Side
Pride
chat.
Side is what I said.
Yeah.
But
it's the
same thing. It's just kind of generically shortened it up a little bit.
No problem. No problem.
Yeah. So anyway.
So I like.
I don't have my own segment. We have cringy moments with Ron's.
Well, you make it cringing. right? Whenever I say
No.
no, you guys add your own little twist onto it, and whenever I say something, you're like, oh, you know.
It wouldn't be cringy if it didn't need to be cringy. Like
Well, no, well, you're the one that you're the one that's making it cringy, right? If I said hello, you go.
It's not cringy in your mind, but
it's not cringy to
anyone
anybody
else
until you put your spin on it. So, every day at work, there's a girl I know, right? And I go up and
Good for you.
she said, "Well, yeah, good for me." Social
you,
interaction. So I go up and I give her a piece of candy, right? And it started with that she had low blood sugar, and she openly, mockingly said, "If you don't shut up, I'm going to hurt somebody." Right? Now, she didn't say that to me. She said that to somebody else. She was joking around. And I said, "Hey, it sounds like your blood sugar is low. Have a piece of candy. Don't hurt the entire world." Right?
Like, here, little girl, you want some candy?
See, now, yeah, you see how you took that cringing moment to it, right?
No, I mean, you made it cringy.
No, I did not.
Here, little girl.
No, I did not.
Candy.
No, I did not. So every day I come in and I train her. She has her brothers in at the, to quote the B-man, at Covite, right? I train her brothers when they're there, and she saw, and she's a really nice person. So every day I give her a piece of candy whenever I see her. I was like, when did you've always got that one friend that's willing to say, "Hey, are you down? Are you kind of out there? Are you sad? Here's something to make you a little bit happier," right? But you put
what
your
kind of candy are you giving?
A little spearmint,
like a butterscotch, a little butterscotch.
Swan, you could actually talk in a conversational voice.
I am.
Yeah.
My
No,
That's your
conversational
conversational voice.
loud.
That's your conversational
It
voice.
is. You
Super
know I yell
abrasive, super
when I talk.
abrasive and loud.
Yeah.
But going back to what the Swan said, I said, just like you came to the same conclusion, it looks awkward that I'm giving you a piece of candy and I'm like, "Hey, little girl, here's a piece of candy. You look nice." Right? And she just starts laughing. It's like, yeah, she goes, "It's not like that." I said, "I know that, but you know what? An outsider like the Swan would see it like that." And you just confirmed what I saw, what I knew. But I don't make it cringy. Other people make it cringy. Yeah.
No, you're right. You don't make it cringy at all.
No,
Absolutely
no,
not.
it's
I
not-
totally agree. What?
It's not the action in itself that makes it cringy.
But what kind of candy is it? Is it good candy? Is it quality candy? Or are you giving her Tootsie Rolls?
Well, no. It's those like round peppermint spearmint discs you get.
So you're full on giving her some generic shit.
Yeah.
Nothing of quality. Nothing real good.
Well, I guess I could give her
Rock
quality.
brand.
What would you recommend as a quality candy?
I don't know, like a Werther's. I don't know, something good.
Oh,
That's definitely old man candy.
I don't give a
Werther's.
shit, man. You give me
They're good.
literally. If you came to the dojo, Rons, and you gave me a butterscotch, oh, I'm telling you, man, I'd be like so happy. I can't remember which one of my relatives used to do. I think it was my great uncle that would give us a butterscotch. I'm pretty sure it was.
Are we talking really good butterscotch candy or generic?
It's all. I mean, it all tastes good. You buy an expensive kind compared to a generic, they all taste the same to me.
Oh, so
The little yellow wrapping on the butterscotch candy. Oh yeah.
I almost died from one of those. My grandma, my bitch grandma, who's dead now.
God
She used to have
rest her soul, laddies.
No, not God rest her soul, like rotten hell.
You have
rotten
to
hell.
say that because that's
Oh
how
no,
things
I
are.
don't.
You got
I
to.
don't. So she was a bitch. She was a horrible grandma.
Oh no.
And she was.
Look what I
She
did,
had them in
Grandma.
a jar. She had them in a jar, and she wouldn't let us ever have any. And I mean, you're like a 7-year-old, 6-year-old, I don't know, however old I was at the time. And all you see is a jar of candy, and that's what you want. She's like, "Don't touch those. Those are my special candies." They probably were like marijuana candies, but they weren't. They were just.
Did
the
you ever ask her
butterscotch
why they were
candies.
so special?
Because she had stomach problems, and that was the only thing she could eat besides turkey lunch meat and those butterscotch candies.
So
she was a
basically,
fucking
she
whack
told
job.
you that she needed
was a
those to
bitch.
stay
No,
better.
she had a whole jar of them. She was a drug addict, whatever piece of crap. But
I don't
anyway,
think you should try to
so
ruin my
one
memories
time-
of my uncle.
wait, hold
I'm
on.
giving you
So
a
one
happy
time when she
memory.
was in the bathroom, one time she was in the bathroom, I snuck
And
one,
she shat a
put it in my
butterscotch.
mouth. No, and I almost choked on it. I like swallowed it and it went down wrong. And she's like, "You see, shouldn't have taken my candy." I was like, "Really? Okay, I'm almost fucking died." And she was more worried about me stealing her candy.
You
out of
sound
the
like
jar.
one of those wicked evil women
Witches?
when you do that voice. That's an awesome voice, by the way.
That was my grandma's voice. It was awful. She was horrible.
Other fond
So-
memory of my uncle. he always used to he'd give us those little ginger snap cookies. You know, a lot of people don't like the ginger snap cookie, but I love them because my uncle was dope. He was pretty freaking awesome. He was actually my great grandmother's brother. So I didn't realize how damn old he was. Yeah, I didn't realize how damn old he actually I think doesn't that make him my great uncle?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
Yeah, because
Great
your
yeah.
uncle would be your parents' brother, and your great uncle would be your grandparents' brother. So if it's my great grandma, he's actually technically my great uncle.
Okay.
Anyway, but no, he'd
Anyway.
give us like the little ginger snap cookies. Oh, dope! Butterscotch candies and ginger snap cookies. He was dope.
See, I
And he
really
smoked
wish
a
I would
pipe.
have known that for
My uncle
Christmas.
smoked a pipe, and it was like
You
how
can
you know
write
how
it down.
good pipe smoke smells.
It does smell good, actually. Like somebody I know used to smoke like some cherry flavored pipe stuff, and it smelled so good.
Yeah.
So you can write that down, Ron's. Christmas comes every year.
No,
Isn't that
Ron's
good?
hooked me up, man. Ron's, I just finished like I don't know 2 weeks ago. I would say I just finished the windmill cookies.
He
Oh,
rationed them out really good. Like
I'm
yeah, you
happy.
did.
Incidentally, windmill cookies very good with real butter on them. Oh yeah,
Oh,
slathered in butter. Real
I
nice.
love those when I lived in the Netherlands. I did.
You don't love
I
them
would drink
anymore?
so
Just
much
only when
coffee
you
with
lived in the
those.
Netherlands?
Well, they're hard to find. They're hard to find unless you got to know.
Well, you can buy the American version. The American version is not hard to find. You can buy those at Meijer, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can. Yep.
yeah. That's if they have them in stock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't you think that they would be really good with Nutella on them? Like
Yeah.
I always
I don't know. I just like dipping them in coffee.
Oh,
Little dip in
definitely.
coffee.
Oh,
dipping coffee
jeez.
is
Oh
good
yeah,
too.
Good,
real good.
good strong coffee.
You know what's crazy?
I mean-
Speaking of cookies, did you know that in Battle Creek? I don't know if you know this, Ron, because you grew up in Kalamazoo area. Battle Creek, we had a cookie factory that you could actually go to the factory and buy cookies from the factory.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd
What
have
was
to
it
ask my
called?
parents
Do you
what it was.
remember?
I'd have to ask my parents
Okay.
what it was called, but they had such delicious cookies. We didn't go there often, but occasionally we would, and we would get cookies there. Oh, so good. So good. You know, that's kind of the advantage of growing up around the Battle Creek area. It all smells like Fruity Pebbles, depending on where you're at. Or else it smells, if you're farther down, kind of the downtown area, not the downtown, farther towards the district where some of the other factories are, where they burn coffee to make postum, that doesn't smell so good. But the rest of it.
I thought you were going to say it smells like meth and shame down there.
No,
Well,
that's
that
the
too.
overline. Even if you're a meth head and there's a lot of shame, you still smell Fruity Pebbles in the air. So it's still okay.
With the side of meth.
With
It
the
doesn't
side
matter.
Shame. And maybe some urine. It's okay.
So back to what I was talking about. This is not a paid advertisement for the Wisdom app, but I did a talk today and I wanted to keep talking about it, but it's okay. We don't have to talk about it the whole time.
No. I insist.
I thought
That
that
the
you were going
Swan
to I thought that you were going to accidentally trip onto my topic, which would have been fine. I just threw this question out there: are celebrities ruining podcasting? I just wanted to know what the Rons and the Swan feel about that. How do you feel about that?
I'll let the Swan go first because I have an opinion on this. I really do.
So you think
So
that if the Swan goes first, it's not going to take long because she doesn't have an opinion? Is that? I just want to
Opinion.
clarify.
I think that it depends on what celebrity it is. Because yes, if just any old celebrity like, I'm famous movie star and I'm going to have a podcast, a lot of them don't unscriptedly do well communicating. However, people who do, like, I don't know, I've not listened to very many podcasts, but just from like the ones that you've talked about, who's the two Owen Wilson or whoever, and who have a podcast?
No, you mean the one with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and
that one. I'm like, I don't like Will Arnett. I don't think he's very funny and his
Not
stuff
even
and
as
his
Batman.
comedy. But I don't think he's very funny. But anyway,
Sean Hayes.
so like I don't think
Sean
that,
Hayes is the other one.
yeah, there you go. But I don't think that they do well with that. But I do think like Sean T or Jillian Michaels, whose platform is motivating people and doing like video workouts and have been that way. That's what their podcasts are like. And they do make you want to listen to them because they're the same. It gives you the same energy. And it seems like they're actually talking to you when they're on it. And it makes you like, ooh, motivated and want to do that.
All right, so let me.
They're talking about stuff that they're knowledgeable about, I guess.
So let me respond to what you just said before Ron gives his opinion. which might actually lead to more talks from Ron's anyway. I don't consider them celebrities, first of all, for one thing, because most of the world doesn't know who they are, even though we know who they are. And if I was to run into them, I think that if I ran into Jillian Michaels or Shaun T, they'd be pretty cool people. I don't consider them quote
Yeah.
unquote. To me, they're a celebrity because of the fitness world. I've we've
Mhm.
known them for years. We love them. I think that you're right that if their podcast was definitely just focused on really just promoting what they do and healthy lifestyle and things like that, it would be probably pretty decent. But are they good interviewers? Would they do a good job interviewing? Because that's not what their focus is. That's not what they do. So would they be a decent actual broadcaster? Or is it somebody who's really somebody's writing out questions for them? They don't have to do much talking. I don't know. I would have to listen to one of their podcasts to see. Obviously, I see like little video clips of, Shaun T doing interviews, and it seems like he's just nodding his head and smiling. So I'm assuming that he probably relies on his host to do most of the talking. I mean, his guest
In
to do
that
most of the
one,
talking.
but then he has like a nighttime one that he talks with him and his husband, and they're just like real, and they talk about random stuff like how they've adopted and they're raising kids, or relationship stuff, or like how they almost broke up before, or like they have a real like let you in their lives podcast on, I think it's like, I don't know, Friday night or one of those. And those are them just being real, but it still makes you want to listen to them. It's like their own little journey
And so
of
for you,
life.
you might find that interesting. For me, I don't think that I would
Yeah.
find that interesting.
And
But
also,
again, you
I
have to
do
find
agree
your
with what you said about them being approachable, because I just saw on their Facebook or Instagram or whatever they are, they were taking selfies with people at Disney, which I think is cool because you're big enough, but you're not big enough to where you're like, fuck you,
well,
I'm not
because people
gonna.
don't know who they are. That's the
Yeah.
same thing. That's what I'm saying. I'm
So
like, most people are not going to know who they are. Uh, Ronce, do you know who Shaun T is?
Isn't he the one that does the P90X or something?
close,
Close.
but no,
Same.
he does
That's Beachbody.
Insanity.
He did
Okay,
Beachbody.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
part of Beachbody, which was Tony Horton
Yep.
did P90X. But that's the
Yeah.
same company. But no, yes, that's who he was affiliated with, and that's who he probably still affiliated with. I don't know.
Okay, I was
I
just
think he
kind of
is.
Yes,
guessing
you're
because I
correct. But most
I
people
I,
won't know
I
who that
think
is. Most people are not going to know
so.
who that is.
Yeah.
And
So unless you're part of that,
but
yeah.
again, I don't know that. So let's get Ron's opinion before I
Yeah.
before I get talking.
So Alice Cooper, great rock star, does a radio show every night, and when he does
Different
it,
from podcasting, he does a radio show.
well, no, but it's along the same lines. When he does it, of course, he adheres
No,
to the FCC. Okay, well, when he does his radio show, it's not scripted. You can hear him talk about anything he wants to, and he plays the music. He'll go into why he was staying at a house that was probably owned by Mel Brooks for a month, right? So he goes into that, and I like the natural dialogue from that. When you have a scripted, you know, dialogue, and it's a podcast, yeah, at some point, like you said, the P-Man gives us a general idea of what the topic is, and we talk about that. That's not scripted, but in his mind, he's like, okay, here's our topic. That's the scripted part. Now freeform it. So we do that. I think a lot of these celebrities, right, were jumping on board because they were also going broke, right? In the world of COVID, when COVID hit, movie production shut down hard, right? So a lot of these, bread and butter movies that would pay make paychecks for these guys was suddenly gone. So they needed a new source of revenue. Well, what can you do while maintaining your audience base? Well, you can podcast. So
So
people
you
started
think that's where
podcasting.
it
What?
started to that's where it picked up, is because of COVID? You think
Yeah,
that's where they
because it was
decided
kind
to
of
get into
podcasting
it?
was kind of an underground thing. If you look at it, when the B Man was doing it, there were quite a few podcasters, but there weren't that many. Now it's sort of like when Facebook and Twitter and all this other stuff showed up. It started out slow. There weren't that many. Now there's everybody doing it. And I think there are a lot of celebrities that should just stay off the fucking internet. Right? I don't need to know about your brand new child that's due in 9 months. Right? I'm happy for you. I hope it's healthy. But you know what? I don't need to be updated every 5 minutes about it, and I don't need to talk about it. Right.
That's what the National Enquirer is for.
Oh, and I wish they would bring that
Let's get our
back.
news on there.
But I also like the way, if it's not scripted, like Raul Paulson, if I got that name right, was doing a podcast because he's the voice of Warner Brothers Animaniacs, right? Pinky and the Brain. He's Pinky, and he was, I think, also Donatello, and he's great. And he said he started podcasting just like the B-Men did, out of just for fun. So he started having all these guests on there, and it's like it started out with just low tech, and I thought it was great.
So you said he did a good job. You'd listen to him, or
Oh,
you
definitely,
think
I'd
he
listen to
shouldn't do
him.
it? Okay.
Right? But I think sometimes it's kind of oversaturated. I mean, how many comedy? When the B-Men started doing this, how many podcasts were out there doing comedy? I'm pretty sure there were a few, but how many have
Probably not
grown
that many.
since then?
Yeah.
Right? Right.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure if I would have, I was telling Swan this earlier, if I would have picked the right people to do the podcast with when I first started podcasting, I'd be at year like 7 or 8 now, unfortunately. I picked the wrong people and I should have just stuck with it and just did it by myself.
Oh, I'm
But,
so sorry.
so
Hopefully
now,
one day I'll be the right person.
not
Not
you.
talking about you,
This
Ding
was
Dong.
years and years ago.
Yeah.
When he first
this would have
started.
been, I mean, I would be like 7 or 8 years in. So now I'm at, 4 years of consistently podcasting by this summer. But the point being with the whole celebrity thing is I don't think that they're going to saturate the market because it's not possible to saturate the market. That's like saying that television shows are oversaturated because look at all the networks we have. You have a myriad of, you can listen to whatever you want. You can watch whatever you want. So you're always going to just try to find that niche audience that you fit into. Like we have a certain demographic that listens to our podcasts. I don't know what that demographic is. I'm assuming it's people between the ages of, 40 and 58. That would be my guess. People who like comedy, people who like ridiculous shows to listen to, people who don't give a shit about being informed. They're interested in being entertained. Do I think that 18 to 20-year-olds are listening to my podcast? Probably not. I would love it if they did, but I don't think that the market's going to get
I know of
saturated.
one that did.
What I think is probably going to happen and what I suspect will happen, and I think that part of what you're saying is right, Ron, is a lot of them were just like, oh, there's a pandemic. I should podcast. My agent says I should podcast. But I think that the bigger thing that happened is all these people that had successful podcasts like Mark Maron, Kevin Smith, Joe Rogan, people like that who are actually known for podcasting. Yeah, they're known for, Mark Maron is known for being a stand-up comic. Joe Rogan, his stand-up had a really pretty solid stand-up routine, but maybe he's not really known for that. He's known for Fear Factor and hosting the UFC and being a podcaster.
Misinformation. Let's not forget about misinformation on that.
I never saw it, but I'm just saying that they all have these other things, but they are known as podcasters. If you look at Mark Maron's career, the show he did Maron was about him being a podcaster. He has a character, one episode of The Simpsons, there's a podcasting, there's a person podcasting, his character's on there. So that's things that they're known for. That's things that they're really good at. Good interviewers, good podcasters. So if you take an actor just because they're famous and you throw a microphone in front of them, that doesn't mean they're going to be a good podcaster. That just means their agent said, hey, you know what? You should have a podcast because you're famous and we can probably get sponsors and sponsors will throw money at you. And what happens is that these celebrities literally interview people that they know or that they don't know, and they can interview them just because they're celebrities, and then they turn right around and they go on that person's podcast, and then they turn around and go, and all you're doing is listening to the same damn conversations between all the different podcasts. And if God forbid that they worked together on something like on a sitcom, and then they're having their own private conversations about
It's like their little
jokes between
internal
them,
networking. Yeah.
about jokes that are like, you could listen to a podcast that's just about them and their inside jokes while the listening audience is going, not funny, don't get it. Who cares?
Yeah. And they're not very good interviewers or very good interviewees. So it's not fun for them. But certain people from whoever like them will listen to it because they're listening to it because they're a fan of that actor.
Right, you'll listen to it, but you'll also be disappointed. You're like,
yeah.
Part of it is, you could like somebody as an actor, but now you're throwing them into a totally different medium where they might not be good at it. What is acting? No offense to actors, but acting is pretending. So unless somebody writes a script for you and gives it to you, how good are you going to be at it? And interviewing is a totally thing, all different, totally together. Like, we don't do interviews on this podcast. If we have people on the podcast, they're actually just our guests on the podcast. We're not focusing on them. We're not asking them interviewing questions. Could we do an interviewing podcast? I totally think we could. But is that anything that I really want to do? No. Do I think I would be a good interviewer? Of course. Why not? I've been doing
I think you
podcasting for
would.
a while now. But again, you can't ask the same questions that are asked on 15 other podcasts and expect people to be interested. That's part of the problem. And you can't script it. If you want to script it, go ahead, but people can tell it's scripted. And is that what we're listening for? Is that what podcasting was
no.
initially set up for? No, unless you're doing an outline. Here we go, talking about my most favorite podcast, the last podcast on the left. Theirs isn't, quote, scripted. Now, they do say that they write a script, but it's really an outline of how they're going to stick with the subject. You know, maybe they want Henry to do a voice, you know, from a quoted passage in a book, and Henry will do that. That's all, quote, scripting, but it's not scripted word for word. They're not actors. They're
It's
great.
just to
They're
keep
great
them
podcasters.
on a timeline.
Yeah, basically. I mean,
Just to
they're
keep them
great
on a
podcasters.
timeline and like to bring them back once they get strayed from where they go.
Yeah.
Like rein it in and bring it back to the topic, like, which is kind of hard sometimes, but you don't really care. If we get off of it, it's like you have an idea, but you don't really care if we get off that subject and onto something else, as long as it's not going into a
It's the
stupid
continuity,
moment.
I think, is also that we're looking at too. When you look at the dialogue or you listen to the dialogue that we have, we've gone over random subjects so many times, but it flows. And I think and when I say I think, it's my opinion, by the way.
Well, that's usually what I think means.
What's that?
That's usually what I think means.
Yeah. When you listen to this podcast and other podcasts, yeah, there are inside jokes that you don't get. And then we try to the one thing we try to do is bring our listeners up to speed with our humor, right? So like, let's go back to Tremonde and camping, or my black belt situation, or your Kovate jokes, right? Or recently, because we have a sponsor coming up, how you gave me a bag of lube outside the dojo.
You're giving away our hints. Okay, I guess lube could mean anything, right?
But it was when I talk about that to certain friends, they don't get it. But when I explain the context to it, and I will explain the context to it, they start laughing their ass off. So this content that I have for how you got me the product for a little bit is going to be hilarious. It's going to be a cringeworthy moment, by the way, too. I will say that right now.
Well, the difference, though, is that the inside jokes that we are doing are inside jokes known to our podcast listening audience. So it's not like it's not like we have an experience outside of here and we have our own inside joke about it. And then we come on the podcast and we only say part of it. The inside jokes are all known by our own audience. Everybody who listens to the Slaptail Squad knows that we joke about Ron's black belt. So it's not an inside joke. It's because it's a joke that is shared among our audience. They know everything that we're doing together on the podcast is shared by the people who listen to us.
I do think, though, and once again, that's my opinion.
That's what that means. If you say I think, that's
you don't have to clarify.
Generally what that means. Sorry, Slaptail Nation. Sorry the Rons thinks you're stupid and don't understand what I think.
Well, that leads me in because they might think that the Swan isn't that smart, and she's actually an intelligent young lady.
Why did we just turn it around to dogging on me? You're just trying to take the fact that you're getting called out for saying I think.
No, I'm not. I was leading up to that.
No, I want to know why would the audience think that the Swan isn't smart? I want to hear this. What's your supporting evidence? No, this would be great. What is your supporting evidence for that?
My supporting evidence is like, shut up, Swan. Oh my God, you don't get it. Oh my God. Oh, that's so stupid of you.
We know I don't understand. I don't understand comedy. That doesn't mean I'm stupid.
I never said you
like
were.
I wipe my own ass, Rons. I do.
You do. That's after you were told to repeatedly keep the bathroom clean. So
right,
they might not think that you're the most intelligent person out there. But that's a character also. And I think you're very intelligent.
not a
Thanks, Rons, for
character.
that
She literally
backhanded.
shits- That's not a character. She shit stains the toilet. That's not a character. What, you think I made that up? You think I wrote that down as a character for her? Hey, Swan, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try out this character for you. We're gonna always say that you shit stain the toilet, you don't clean anything up, and you don't have sex.
Yeah,
No,
but they
Ron,
might not
well,
think
that's
that
a
she's
reality.
actually the
That's
brightest.
reality. That's her
I
actual
realize
character.
that,
That's
dude.
who she is.
I realize
Not a
that, but they might not
persona.
think that she's the brightest person out there.
So because I should stay in the toilet means I lack intelligence. I don't think that those two go together. I mean, clearly I'm more intelligent when I got somebody else cleaning the fucking toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. How about that one, Rons?
Well, I never said you weren't that bright. So,
No, I
yeah,
think that
Okay.
I don't think that I wouldn't say, like I said, I don't think celebrities are ruining podcasts because I think they're going to get bored of them and they're going to stop. Obviously,
Probably.
there's going to be
Yeah.
there's going to be a percentage of them that do pretty well, and they're going to make a lot of money because they're going to get top sponsors, and they're going to try to squeeze out the rest of us inadvertently, but they're not going to be able to because you know what? Podcasting takes time, and it's a different medium that they're used to. In other words, people aren't watching them. They're not and they're not going it's not going to fulfill them the way it's going to fulfill them getting that big rush that
do
they
do
get
you
from
think
acting.
that some of the celebrities doing the podcasting are doing it for money, or are they just doing it because they like to do it?
I think a lot of them, and this is not I'm not trying to be a dick when I say this, but I think most actors are pretty what's the word? I think that they're just pawns. I think that if their agent says, "Hey, you should do a podcast. I can get a contract for us for you to do X amount of hours per week. We can get you all kinds of guests. It's going to give you this much money. I think you should do it." And they're going to go, "Okay." I think
Well,
that's
I agree with that 100%. Just because like the couple people the one particular person that we know who is in acting. I mean, I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. Like,
No, I don't,
hey,
but I'll say
Luz,
okay.
not you, but
I don't know who you're
it's
talking about.
another martial art person's son who's in California acting. But
Oh
anyway,
yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, sure.
like lose 20 pounds. We don't want that. Get ripped, get tan, cut your hair this way, do that. I mean, and they do it because that's what they think
Well, that's part of the
that their agent
profession.
tells. Yeah, but not
But it's the same
necessarily.
thing. If your
I
agent
mean,
says, "Hey, I think we can make some money by you podcasting," they're going to do
yep.
it
And they
because
do it because
they are
they're
used to
taking the
being
direction
told.
of their
Yeah,
agent.
exactly. They're used to being told, "Hey, I think you should go for this. Hey, I think you should go for that." It's not an uncommon thing for people to say, "You know what? Actors they're just pretenders." That's what they've based their life on and a lot of people will say, and I know it's not fair to say this because it's a generalization, but a lot of people will say actors don't have personalities. They don't even have fucking personalities because they don't know who the fuck they are because they spend their entire life pretending. And
Well, and don't you think that leads to some people having like dark like mental health issues?
I don't care about this. Not what we're talking about. That's
uh,
not what we're talking
okay,
about.
well,
Let's
anyway.
not go. Nobody
Okay, well,
cares about.
anyway.
Let's not go down that road. If you want to talk about that some other time, you can talk about that some other time.
Okay. So,
That's
but
not
I
the
agree
road we're
with you.
going down. That's how you rein shit. That's how
Okay.
you rein shit in, Ron. She totally wanted to get off topic. That was a total different topic.
Okay.
And that's how you rein it in. You just
That's how you rein it in, Ron. You just
the B man just puts the fucking smack down on that shit.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So back to the oversaturation. I think that sometimes, what makes a good podcast, and would I listen to a certain podcast? I would. However, it's got to pique my interest in. Now that we put it in this light, are they doing this just because they want to, or is it because of a monetary value to it? It's sort of like what was it a couple months ago, or about a couple months just before Christmas, something came out. What was it called? Cameo, where all these celebrities could, you could pay so much and they would give you a personal
I don't know.
reading.
I think there's more than one. Yeah, I wanted to get you. What was the one I said I wanted to get for Ron's? I can't remember who I wanted to have. I wanted to
I
do one
don't
for him and
remember.
one for the boy, and I cannot remember who I wanted to get. But it was ridiculous. It was it's so inexpensive too. You can get like 15 minutes or or a greeting for it. It was so cheap. Some of them you could get for like $10.
But at some point,
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
wish I remembered the one that you were going to get for Ron's. I can't remember. But it was a funny one.
I appreciate it. But, however, it comes into the point like, Are you really that broke that you have to go out and give personal greetings? Now, on the flip side, though, it's really cool that I'm getting, or anybody's getting, a greeting from one of their favorite celebrities. The bad side is you had to pay like a whore to get it.
Well, I mean, some of them were like $15. I saw one that I was really kind of sad. Like Kenneth Sorbo was like, I swear he was like $20. And somebody else was outrageously priced in comparison to Kevin Sorbo. And I'm like, that's bullshit. Hercules should be worth a lot more money than this dude. And of course, that's my own personal opinion.
I
But
agree.
so what you're saying though, Runs, is if you look at it, I'm kind of looking at it from the telehealth perspective. In other words, if I was doing a telehealth platform, and this is how some platforms are, let's say that I only had to do a chart review. The chart review takes me 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes out of my day, and I make $50 for doing it.
Oh,
That's kind of how I look at what they're doing. I mean, it comes to their email. They can do it. It takes them 5 minutes, and they make $50. So it's
They're
no,
doing it
it's
like sitting on the
like,
toilet,
oh, I don't have anything to
doing a
do.
little
Let me
recording.
go see if I've got any
Cool.
requests. And you go do that. I don't think that necessarily do I think that they're desperate for money. I like to think that they're not. But after another benefit of listening to podcasts after all these years is finding out that actors really are not as rich as you think they are. Because who gets all their money?
Their
everybody
agents.
else, yeah.
Publicists,
Yeah.
their agents, all that. That's where all their money's going. And I think that the part of that is also kind of cool for us, not saying that we make money podcasting, but for the people out there who are actually doing the work and started off by themselves and have been doing it by themselves and don't have a bunch of people like the Last Podcast on the Left guys. And I obviously love the Last Podcast on the Left, but when I first started listening to them, they still had jobs. Ben was working at like Fox News. Henry was working for like the Onion or something like that. Not Henry, Marcus. And Henry is an actor. And he was getting, like his little acting gigs here and there. You can see him on different shows. But now that's their main gig is the Last Podcast on the Left and the Last Podcast on the Left network. Now, Henry still acts, but they have all these other things. Like now they have a comic book and they sell weed and they've got a partnership with Mothman Coffee and they've got all these shows that are part of their network. And if we could find somebody who approached us and wanted to do a product, that would be fantastic. I would love to be approached by the Slaptail Vodka. That would be great too. Hey, Slaptail Vodka.
I don't even know if they're still in production. I will check that.
I think they are. Remember that was I told you a long time ago. Rons, you should reach out to them and see if we can whatever.
I think I tried. I don't think I got far, but you know what?
Right. That's all right. Someday. But no, it was just one of those things. We really didn't even touch on the topic that much. I'm just saying I think they're going to get bored with it because most of them are not going to be good at it, and the ones that are going to be good at it, they'll be fun to listen to. But if they get approached to do other things and that actually boosts their stardom, they're going to have to make a choice. Am I going to keep podcasting, or is this a new resurgence of my career where I'm going to go back to doing what I was truly good at doing in the first place, which was being an actor? There's plenty, Wow. And I think that, like for me, and I still kind of go back to this marketing person that told me nobody listens to podcasts. And I actually brought that up on my Wisdom app today with the person I was talking with, and they laughed. And I said, I have 3 in rotation, and I'm considering adding 2 more because I listen to podcasts all the time, and I'm not unique. I think what part of the problem is that for the real true podcasters, I think that they have more problem with the celebrities doing podcasts than I do. Some of them do, the old school ones, because they're like, why? I've been cornering this market for a long freaking time. And to them, I say, don't worry about it. They're going to get bored with doing it. They're going to get bored with doing it. They're not going to be good at it. People might listen to them initially, but after a while, they're just saying the same old shit and they're just interviewing their friends. And then they go do that person's podcast. You'll even hear them talk about are you going to be on my podcast? You're like, oh, I stopped listening.
Well, and I don't think that it's going to take away from our listening audience if someone else wants to, because just like those people shouldn't be mad about it anyway, because even if they're listening to yours and they listen to someone else's, they're not going to stop listening to yours because they're listening to theirs. Just like yours, you listened to 2 or 3 and now you want another one. All you're going to do is add more. You find time to listen to it. It just replaces your lithium radio on instead, and you listen to a podcast in the car, or you just do it while you're taking a shower and brushing your teeth or working out or whatever. You just add it to some other part of your day in the background.
Yeah, I
so it's not
typically
going to
listen.
take
I
away
listen
from
to
that at
podcasts
all.
pretty much all day long. I listen to podcasts, and I'm very big about promoting those podcasts on my podcast, so that I can get
And I
other
don't
people
think
to listen to them.
it's not like a show that you have to watch it like a TV show. You don't have to be actively engaged in watching it to listen to a podcast. You're not going to miss something if you miss 3 seconds of it, or 5 minutes if you are doing something else, or if you're, you have other noise in the background that drowns it out. It's just a conversation in the background.
Yeah.
So and if you want to, you can rewind it and listen to it again. So
I feel like these celebrities and their managers feel like podcasting is the thing to do right now, and it's trendy, and I think they'll drop off because they're not going to be good at it. They're not going to
Not
build
like
a
the Beat Man. The
real.
Beat Man's awesome,
They're
man.
not going to build a real audience, and I think that we can just sit back and relax and wait to watch them all drop off and keep our listening audience. So I'm not really worried about it. So the podcasters that are worried about it, because I know you all listen to my show, I would say to just sit back. It's going to be fine.
well, I agree too in another way, because all it's doing is it's helping us market ours. Because if they're like, oh, everybody's got a podcast, all it's doing is promoting more podcasts. So
Well-
eventually when those people drop off, they're going to come to the ones that are still around. So they're actually doing you a favor. It's like free advertising.
I always plug us because I say, the Beat Man and the Swan are awesome. Right. And I go into detail on how it goes, and hopefully they look forward to it, listening to it. Now, I realize everybody doesn't have the time to listen to it. I really wish they did. It should be required listening to all ages. Well, not all ages, but
It's to all ages. Okay.
should be
Oh boy.
all persons 18 above, 16 and above, if you're emancipated, should be allowed to listen to the Slaptail Squad, and it should be mandatory, according to Ron's. It should be mandatory.
yes, right. And of course, I go into detail about.
I really don't think you have to, though. This is what I never understand. If I bring up my podcast and people are like, oh, you have a podcast? Yes, I do. This is my podcast. What's it about? Well,
yeah.
you'd have to
And you
listen to
share
it.
a link. Yep. Here's the link.
have
If
to
you want to
listen
listen to it, don't get offended. If you don't want to listen to it, don't listen to it.
Yeah, I don't have to
So-
go into detail.
I tend to boost it up with just a little bit of behind the scenes.
Yeah, but you're going to set it up for
yeah, why you gotta
behind
set it
the
up for failure?
scenes.
Why you gotta set it up for failure then?
Why are you going to set it for failure? Yeah, let them
Not
form
everybody's
their
gonna
own
like it.
opinion, Ron.
It's the point.
Just-
Oh, I realize that everybody's going to like it, but when they go, actually, it goes back to when they listen to you and me go back and forth, right? Shelby the Thumb, right? She started to act like the
Oh,
Beat
it's been
Man at
so
work.
long where we didn't have to hear.
He
about
wanted to
that
bring it
person.
No,
back.
no,
He had to bring
no.
it back.
So this
Want
is
some candy, little
It's
girl?
so nice.
no,
so
that's
nice not
that's a
having
different
to,
person. But when
How many little girls are you talking to?
Whoa, let's
That's
back that
a
one
lot of
down.
Something wrong here.
They're over 18.
Still little
But-
girls compared to you. Hey,
Oh,
listen,
jeez.
an 18-year-old.
You just made it cringy and creepy.
I should not be even talking to an 18-year-old. I'm 31 years older than an 18-year-old, and you're older.
You
than
have
I
to
am.
date an
Why-
18-year-old.
Why are you talking to an 18-year-old? Why,
I
why are
work
you
with
talking to
these
young? Why are you
women.
talking to young children? What is going on?
I work with these women.
I see.
And they go, "You have a podcast?" I said, "This is
How
the
do they know
podcast I
that?
do."
How do they know you have a podcast?
Well, okay, casual
We wear
conversation.
Do you wear a shirt that says "Ask me about my podcast"?
I
We
should.
should get him one
We
though.
I should.
We should get him
But-
some.
Actually,
We should
Usually
get
they go-
cringy Ron shirts.
No,
I like the first idea.
Yeah,
Stop trying to make him
This
look
is how
like a
it comes up.
pedophile.
Oh, whoa, back that word up too. I mean, the one thing is when they go, "What are you doing this weekend?" And I go, "Well, I've got this, and this."
First of all, I don't believe anybody's asking you that.
Oh yeah, they are. They are. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm podcasting." And they go, "Oh, you do a podcast? What's it called?" And I said, "It's that." And they go, "What's it about?" And I explain it. Give it a listen, right? And I say, "This is the Beat Man. This is the Swan," right? And they go, "Wow." And when they do listen
They
to some
go,
of the older
"Wow"?
episodes, yeah, they go, "Wow." They go, "Wow." Like, like Christopher Walken. Wow. Okay. That's good. So they listen and they They laugh. They laugh everything about you and how you interact with me and interact with everybody else. However, Shelby started to take on your personality. I was working with her in a truck one day. We're loading, and I was doing something, and she turned around and said something, and it was just like right out of the podcast. It was like you were standing there in that truck with me, and I'm like, "Whoa! First of all, you're not the B man, and only the B man can do that."
Did you get turgid?
So, what?
No.
What's that?
Did you get turgid?
Turgid. What's that mean?
Vocabulary with Ron.
Did something stir when she did that?
Well, I've noticed that there are certain people that will try to take on your personality, or when they do listen to it, there's like the camouflage netting incident. I came into the dojo. I've mentioned this before on the podcast.
I know, like
Right.
4 times. Probably don't have to keep doing it since we have a
Yeah.
normal listening audience.
So cool. So, but there you go. You want to know how to defeat the Rons?
He's like, you're like, shut it down, Ron.
Shut it down.
Ron was
There
like,
you go.
shut
Go
down.
Use,
Same
use camouflage
story.
netting.
The same
Okay.
story.
Well, no. For
I would
future
like to know
podcasts,
what your description. I would like to know what your description of the podcast is.
I
Yeah.
said. It's,
Sell it to us. I've never heard of it, Ron.
You can calm
What is
down,
your
Swan.
podcast
You really
about?
don't have to yell.
I said they take the words that I say and they twist it against me. So I have to very carefully select what I say, because sometimes I don't select what I say and I just say it and then you turn it around against me.
That's your
then
description of our podcast.
Parts of it.
You know
Parts
what
of
my
it.
description of the podcast is when people ask?
What is it?
I say it's not appropriate for children.
Okay.
That's what I say.
That I say that too. Yep, it's not appropriate for children. It's just us having topics of conversation
a
about
conversation.
whatever random shit.
Four,
And if you
3
wanna
to 4,
listen to
2 to
it-
4 people listening and having a conversation about whatever we want to talk about, and it's not appropriate for children. It's a comedy.
And if you don't
podcast.
like it, don't get offended. Give it a listen. There you go. Yeah, it's simple.
I think I have the same
It's
insight
so
for everybody. It's
simple.
not for kids. Okay, I'll
So
remember that.
simple.
So
It's okay. I mean, if you want to describe it however you
You
want,
can
it's
do whatever
okay,
you
Ron.
want. Do whatever you want. Out of all those people that you've described it to, Rons, how many of them do you think have actually listened to this podcast?
one.
Yes. So you've
So
you've
maybe
cast
Actually,
this net. You've
no,
cast a
actually,
net. You've cast
no,
a
no,
net out
quite a-
there.
hold on. I'll go. I'd say about 5 to 10 people.
Okay. So you've cast.
And
this
how
net.
many have you told about it? I mean, Ron talks to everybody. He does go out of his way to talk to everybody.
I do.
So, how many people have you told about it? And you've gotten 5 to
Hundreds,
10?
if not half the planet.
Oh, well, then I
That's-
guess
that's
we
pretty
need to
bad.
research.
Then, if you've only got 5
Yeah,
to
your
10 out
marketing
of half the
strategy.
planet, then we're doing pretty poorly.
Well, there's
Is
COVID
different.
and the war happening. So, I'm glad to reach out for those 5 or 10.
5 or 10 is a success. That's good. We
Yeah.
are
Yeah, it is.
thankful
It's
for
better
that
than
5 or
0.
10.
Yes.
It's better
Yeah,
than 0.
better than 0. I like that.
Better than 0. All right. Well, I think that's it. That's it for me and the turgid Rons. Ron, do you know what turgid means?
Can we have?
Ron?
I have a request since
Yeah.
we don't have our Tremonde. Not you, Rons. I would like.
Well, then don't-
well, I mean, it's about you. I want to. Hi, I'm Rons. We haven't had one in a while.
I don't.
Okay.
yeah,
Hi, I'm
No.
Ron.
Off the top of my head right now.
Not you. Just make one up.
I don't have anything.
Oh, that makes
You
you.
gotta, I have to have
like,
some
come
sort
on.
of context to do it, and I don't have.
Okay,
context.
so-
and it has to be spontaneous, and you can't ask me to do it.
Okay, so here's something spontaneous, because actually it's not spontaneous. What's a good healthy weight for me? Because I asked Little Powder Donut that I'm starting to lose weight again, and she goes, "You at 150, you were too scrawny."
What is your height?
5'8" and a quarter.
5'8" and a quarter. I would.
How does he know that and he doesn't know his shoe size?
I don't know, Swan.
But okay.
Big enough to kick ass?
Okay.
That's all I
Okay.
need to know. Oh,
I've seen your ass kicking.
yeah. So have I. And once again, they go, "How'd you do against the B-Man?" I said, "I got my ass thoroughly kicked."
I think 160 would
Yeah.
be fine.
Yeah, 160.
Yeah.
I mean, I can actually I can actually pull out my phone and look at the calculation for it if you want for ideal body weight. But
No,
it's
no,
pretty
no,
skinny.
no.
Ideal
mean,
body
I
weights are
feel that's-
pretty skinny.
I feel like that's pretty accurate. I mean, he's not much. He's like your height ish,
Yeah,
maybe
160
a little
would
bit
be
shorter
fine.
than you. But that's yeah.
I mean,
So,
I know
yeah.
for me personally, if I drop down to like the lightest I've been in the years has been 152. That's pretty small.
I've been down to 150, 149 in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and you have to look at how you feel too. I mean,
I
if you're
feel
looking
great.
scrawny
Well,
and
if you feel great, yeah.
emaciated and you don't, then it's probably fine.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I don't
mean,
think I look
you could.
emaciated. I mean,
Well, how much do you
Well,
weigh
I
now?
mean,
I don't know. I'd say about 170, 180.
I don't know.
I
think you're
don't.
that bad. Do you think you're
well,
that
then
bad?
you probably could lose a few
I don't
pounds.
think you have it. I
So
mean,
get on a scale,
this
Ron.
summer
See
you were
what you
looking
weigh.
pretty chunkified before you started working. You were looking pretty hefty.
And then you dropped. You could tell
You
that
even had a
dropped
fat
bunch of
roll on the
weight.
back of your head.
I was hoping for
Ooh,
that. That's where I store all my donuts.
No, it looked like a
Your
looked
hot
like a hot
dogs.
dog. That's what it looked like.
Awesome.
It's like you had a hot
I
dog
like
on the
that.
back of your head. A
Awesome.
couple of them. A couple of them.
No,
At least it's not on your forehead. Ooh, that's bad. You know you're fat when you got fat on your forehead.
Wow. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
But I thought about
Anyway,
No,
You
you
just
be
have-
you.
I
You
feel
be
like-
you. Doesn't matter.
definitely.
Weight doesn't matter as much as being healthy. You just want to be healthy.
I did see an old
And-
picture of mine. I was at a function for a friend, and holy crud, I must have been about 220. I looked really big, and
Yeah, so that's too big.
yeah, it is.
And if you did, especially if you were out of breath, like tying your shoes and stuff.
No,
you
I
know
was
that
out
you're
of
not
breath
healthy.
walking through a door.
Yeah, so see, then that's too big. You want just right, Ron. Go for just right.
The Goldilocks effect.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
but
well,
I don't want to give
as
up
I said,
donuts.
that's it for me.
No one said you have to give up donuts.
Jeebus. Oh, Jeebus.
Davis,
Oh, Jeebus.
just donuts in moderation.
Donut sounds good. Donut sounds real good.
Mm.
Once again, support to the people of Ukraine. I really hope this ends. They're gaining ground back. They're getting ground back that they lost, which is pretty freaking amazing. And good for them. I saw a video earlier of some Americans over there fighting. Because, you can volunteer to go there. But let's not romanticize war, because war is war. People die. Not a great thing. But I do support the people of Ukraine, and I support the people of Russia who do not believe in this war, that are doing their part to protest. So I hope this all ends soon. Not trying to bring us down.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah, well, you don't have
Nope.
to yell about it.
Yeah.
We
I'm
can't.
not yelling. I'm passionate about it.
All
That's
right.
all.
Well, good.
That's all.
That's great.
That's all I got.
That's all you got. All right. Well, that's it for me, the Beeve Man. Thanks for joining us. Looking forward to that live stream. We're actually probably going to do it episode 111. We're hoping. This is episode 109. We got to get the Tremonde on board to confirm dates. The rest of us to confirm dates and times. But hopefully for a live stream for episode 111, we think. Hopefully. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and we're going to have some giveaways and stuff. So we want some audience participation. So if you guys want to make sure you mark your calendars as soon as we give it to
Mass
you.
participation.
Yeah.
Lots of people to
Absolutely.
join us. That would be fantastic. You get to interact. You get to interact with the Slaptail Squad. That's going to be fun. You get to see what we look like.
Share it with your friends.
See what we look like.
Share it with your friends. Don't let your kids watch.
It's
But,
not appropriate.
yeah.
Still not appropriate.
Not appropriate
Yeah,
for
not
children
appropriate.
still, but
All right.
should be fun.
Adios, mooch fuckos.
Bye.
Jesus, what the fuck, dude? You don't
Oh,
talk when
okay,
I'm-
fine. Go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
from the Rons. Hey, and Swan, shut up. Let the B-Man talk.
Kiss my ass, Rons.
I know.
Bye from the Swan. I don't want to be last.
All right, I'll be last.
Oh, I
As
still haven't
usual.
No,
seen
it's Beef Man's turn.
Who's
Shut
turn?
up, Rons. It's Beef Man's turn.
Well, why do you keep interrupting him?
You are. You're
I'm not.
interrupting
Look,
now.
I was quiet.
Shut
you,
up, Ron.
You shut up.
Yeah, I'm
You
done. No,
I'm done
makes me-
first.
I don't shut up. I grow up.
Oh.
I like you. I throw up.
Oh.
Oh.
Ooh, okay.
Anyway.
Good insult. From the Rons.
Yeah.
Hey.
Adios, mooch fuckos.